Hi, everybody. It's Hugh, and not many of us can say that we have a sibling who's won the green jacket at Augusta, but my guest sure can. He is Jim Weir, brother of Mike Weir, who won the Masters back in 2003. Jim, thanks for spending a few minutes with me.
Oh, no problem at all, Hugh. Love talking about the Masters.
Yeah, absolutely. 20 years. We're 20 years on now from Mike's big win, and you say it still gives you chills.
It does. It does. It's something that's always been special. People still ask me, a lot about it and what it was like being down there, and everybody has their moment where they were when he, put the green jacket on, which I think is great.
Yeah, it really is one of those kind of landmark moments in Canadian sports. And like you alluded to, everybody kind of remembers where they were. I remember being glued to my couch watching this and watching Mike make clutch putt after clutch putt. It was something to see. So if I were to ask you, I know it's going to be hard to kind of nail down just one, but if I were to ask you what's your favorite memory of that Sunday at Augusta, what would it be?
I would say probably going back into the Butler cabin after he won, and kind of it was my dad, Mike, myself. There's a few other people around, some friends, but we just had that moment where we hugging each other, and there was some tears shed, and it was just like, man, oh man, you did this. It's something, I'm 10 years older than Mike, and he's always, on the putting green at Huron Oaks for a putt to win the Masters. It was so just for him to see him fulfill his dreams, it was an incredible moment.
Yeah, unbelievable. So let's go back to that entire week. Now, did you stay with Mike that week, or what was the kind of living situation there?
No, back in those days, he stayed in a hotel, and then we rented a house.
Okay.
So there was probably 8-10 of us at the house. So he would come to our house every evening, have dinner. We had a basketball net, shoot hoops, just kind of relax a little bit. But then he'd, 7-8 o'clock at night after dinner, he'd go back to his hotel.
Yeah. And what was his, I mean, he's a professional athlete, so they get locked in unlike anybody else. But what was his mindset that week? Like, was he relaxed? Was he laser focused? What was he like?
I would say relaxed, because if you remember, he won 2 events already that year.
Yeah.
He won the Bob Hope and then won the Nissan at Riviera. So he was playing. I mean, he was playing great, and he was in the hunt with a few other tournaments too. So it wasn't like he was, coming into there, kind of cramming for an exam and grinding out on the range trying to find something. He had it. He was playing well. It was just if the putts dropped and got a few breaks along the way, then we knew he felt good. You could sense his confidence. But it was a long golf course that week. If you remember, there was a lot of bad weather, and it was
first round was completely washed out. They had to play it on the Friday. Yeah. So
exactly. I think he played 30 holes or something on the Friday, which was a long grind.
Yeah.
And they weren't really talking about the shorter hitters that week. They were all talking about being a bomber's course, but I kind of knew deep down that with his short game, that he just keeps that going, it's going to be good.
So you're following Mike around the course on Sunday. When did it start feeling real? Like when did you start thinking, my goodness, my brother's going to win the Masters?
Well, that didn't come near till near the end, really, because Matisse had, posted such an unbelievable number that day, and he was quite a few groups ahead of us. So, we were kind of watching it. See, like once they say the back 9 on Sunday at Augusta is where it gets exciting, that's a true statement. I think when he made that putt on 13, the par 5, it was a bit of a downhiller. When he made that, the adrenaline was really starting to pump for us. So that's when you knew it was game on. And then he made another big one on 15 too to make birdie. So
yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of Canadians there. There was a lot of Canadian media there. I remember, walking with Lauren Rubenstein and kind of couldn't even say much. I was just, kind of look at each other going, oh, don't say it. Like, don't say it.
It's like when a pitcher's working on a no-hitter, nobody wants to mention it, right?
You don't want to mention it. It's just like one shot at a time.
So watching those highlights from 2003, Mike was so locked in, and if he was nervous at all, he certainly didn't show it. What were your nerves like following him around?
Honestly, you couldn't even breathe. Like, it was that bad. It was a lot of nerves, a lot of stress. Like, I couldn't even eat that morning, to tell you the truth, Sunday morning. And then you remember on Sunday they don't tee up till about 2:00 in the afternoon. So it was just a stressful day. It's tough watching somebody that you love compete. I tell the story that Mike kind of found that out a little bit when his daughter Elle was playing competitive soccer, and he's in the stands and she was a goalie, and he was like, "Man, I think I know what you guys felt like, because it's hard to watch somebody that you love and really care about compete when you have no control."
Yeah, I'm sure. I can only imagine what your nerves were like, because my nerves, just watching it, like it was a roller coaster of emotion that day. Yeah. He was in the lead, then he fell out of the lead, then he had to make that clutch putt on 18 just to force the playoff. So the playoff begins, and they both had great tee shots, and then Matisse's second shot ends up behind a tree, and basically that's all she wrote from then. Mike 2 putts for the victory. What were your thoughts when that final putt went in?
Oh, I just exhilaration, it truly was. I took it all in as much as I could, because the crowd was really going crazy. And then, got onto the green and gave Mike a hug with my dad. And it was a roller coaster after that. It was just a lot of things happening. They take us right to the Butler cabin, and then it's just like media, and a lot of things happen really, really quick right then after that's done. But
and Tiger's in there too with you, and
Tiger's in the Butler cabin too, which is really cool. And it's just a lot of emotion, a lot of tears, just real, distinct proud. Proud of him, that's for sure.
Yeah, so when Tiger slips that green jacket on, it's such an iconic photograph. And what did Mike say to you right after, or in the Butler cabin, that maybe no one's heard before? Like, what, just brother to brother, what did he say to you?
You know what, I don't 100% recall exactly, Hugh, what he said. I know it was just like a lot of hugs and a lot of like super proud of you, and he's like, I did this sort of thing. And there was a lot. It actually took a while to really sink in, to be honest with you, because it was such a whirlwind after that. So it took honestly like a few days, because then we went into Toronto when he dropped the puck at Maple Leaf Gardens, and that was crazy. And we launched the Weir golf line at Sears. That was crazy. So that had already been planned. That launch had already been planned. And so happens I'm going to be wearing the green jacket when I do it. I know, which was
couldn't have worked out better.
And I still have visions of that Sears store on Jarvis Street in Toronto. I mean, it was thousands of people in there. It was bizarre to walk into that. It was just really, really fun. People love it. Canadians are awesome for that.
They absolutely, like I say, it's a seminal moment. It's a landmark moment. It's one of those "where were you when" moments in Canadian sport, and like nothing will ever change that. That's the first Canadian man to win a major, the first lefty to win the Masters. It was such a huge accomplishment. Okay, be honest with me. Have you tried on the green jacket?
I did that night, yes. And you remember, he only gets to keep that for 1 full year, like in his possession, and then it goes in his locker when he returned in 2004. So, that night when we went back to the house, and certainly had a few beers, and I definitely got a chance to try on the green jacket.
How did it fit?
Oh, it was a little small for me.
Yeah, Mike's not a big guy, so yeah. No. Now, you mentioned that you had a chance to play with your brother at Augusta. What was that like?
That was an amazing experience. So the Sunday before the Masters starts, then champions are allowed to bring a guest without a member. So he invited me, it was probably 7 to 8 years ago, to go and play it. Unfortunately, it was late in the day, so we only got the chance to play the front 9. But what an experience. And he made me play right from the tips, just the way they do too. So it was an extremely long golf course. I was probably a 15 handicap back then. And, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You had a chance to play with your brother, who's a Masters champion at Augusta. That's
pretty cool.
That's pretty darn cool. Jim, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. A great perspective on Mike's Masters victory from 2003. People, I can't believe it's been 20 years. It seems like it was literally last week that he did that. And it's a moment that's going to live for years and years and years in the hearts and minds of Canadian sports fans. So thanks again for spending some time.
I appreciate it. Thank you.